Hi, it's Paul. Welcome back to YNR Update. Let's jump right into the latest episode. First, we see Kane, and he's got a meeting with Jill, and they are discussing control of Chancellor. Now, Kane is still spoiling over the fact that he was blackmailed by his father and ended up giving control to Jill and being her second. He wants to change that deal, but obviously we know that Jill's pretty happy where she is. She's wanted this for a long time. She's not giving it up. And Kane knows that, so he knows he's in for a bit of a fight. Colin shows up, and Jill tries to distract Kane by telling him that he should worry about his family and whatnot, but Kane's not having any of it. And in fact, Colin turns to him and says, you better move on, because he knows that Colin is interfering in the company. It's one of the things Devon stipulated couldn't happen, but with Jill, I mean, how much can he do? There's nothing he can do. So Kane knows that, and he knows the only way to do this is by getting control away from her. And Colin tells Jill that in fact she better prepare for a battle, because he knows his son and he figures he's not going to give up. But they figure there's two of them, and with their skill they think they can beat Kane. But I think this is going to get really interesting. We're going to watch it develop slowly, but I think it's going to be a big storyline. We also see Michael, and all of a sudden he's in a good mood. He's not down anymore, and he wants to celebrate the end of his treatment. Things are looking up for him, and he wants to go out with Lauren and have a great night. But Michael, before that, ends up talking to Kevin. Now, he sort of lambastes Kevin for getting suspended at work. He wants him to keep his nose clean. He's always looking out for his younger brother. He's telling him, things are going good for you. Why do you want to go mess it up? But Kevin is sort of, turns the tables on him, and he knows that he's holding back something regarding either his relationship with Lauren or his cancer, and he presses him to, to find out what he's lying to Lauren about. But Michael's not going to budge. And then we see Lauren with Jill, and she says, she ends up telling Jill that Michael's treatment is a success. They're very happy about it. They're going to celebrate, so it's good news all around. But then Michael comes around the club, and he sees Lauren, and she's talking with Kane. Now, Michael's still a little bit paranoid because he thinks that he can be replaced because he's sick. And he sees Lauren having, a friendly conversation with Kane, and they're laughing. And Michael sort of walks away and makes sends a text message to Lauren saying he's got to cancel. Now he's getting a little bit jealous and a little bit paranoid. And, so Lauren looks at the text, and her and Kane are there, and they decide, hey, why don't we just go have dinner, seeing as you're stood up. So he sees them walking over to sit down for dinner. In the background, they don't see him, and he sort of watches this and turns away. And we can see this more growing, this sort of jealousy thing in Michael. So it looks like there's something coming up, that something Michael is holding back, and it looks like there might be rough waters ahead for Michael and Lauren. Next we see Noah and Courtney, and they tell Sharon the good news that they're going to get married. Now, Sharon's reaction is she's happy. She thinks it's fast. Obviously, they're getting married tomorrow, but Sharon thinks it's good news, and she embraces them, gives them both her blessing. But Dylan's there, and Noah's upset that he still suspects Sharon. I mean, he's very protective of his mother, and he calls him out. He also reveals that Austin was murdered, and that Dylan thinks that Sharon did, and he says this to Sharon. So it puts Dylan in the hot seat, and it makes things uncomfortable between Dylan and Sharon. And then they tell Sharon about Kyle writing the message, and Sharon tells Dylan that she's innocent, and she said she's not going to tell anyone that she knows about this, but she has definitely some questions for Dylan. Noah and Courtney also tell Kevin that Sharon knows the truth, and that she wants to, Courtney wants to access the police footage, and she wants to go ahead with it. Noah knows that he can't stop her, so he tells her to go ahead and be careful, but he also says, just do it after our wedding. I mean, let's wait 24 hours. Okay, and then we see Sharon, and she has it out with Dylan. I mean, she's not happy. She thinks Dylan is not in her corner. She thinks he's been, he thinks that she's guilty, and he's been helping her, but only to find out that she, to dig up dirt to find out whether she's guilty or not. And he asks her what, all this thing about the woods. Faith said they were in the woods. Why is she in the woods? Now, Sharon is pressed with this, and she looks so cagey. I mean, she kind of makes up a story that she she was driving around aimlessly because she was freaked out, and then she keeps asking Dylan if he thinks that she's crazy. Then Dylan reveals to Sharon that, you know, the kids told him about the interview and what she said, and he says, I gotta admit it, you look really bad in this. So Sharon is just feeling like she can't trust anyone. She tells Dylan to get out of there. And next we see Joe and Avery. And that was sort of previously in the episode that Joe and Avery got together, and they got together with Jack and Phyllis to have dinner. Now the dinner was observed by Dylan, and he sort of saw them going, and then he left. But during the dinner, Joe was making a pitch to Jack for funding. And Phyllis, curious about Joe's motives. Well, she knows Joe's motives, but she sort of wants to smoke him out. She asks him, why he's involved with this charity. And then Joe gets into the story of him being abused as a child. And Phyllis can see how it's, Avery came in here as sort of the champion of lost causes. And when she came on the show, and Phyllis can see that she's taking that tone with Joe, and she sees him as now this wounded guy, and that it's working. So she has words with Joe, and it's almost like she's circling around and almost cautioning him. But Jack agrees to give Joe money. Not only does he do that, but he says that he'll tell everyone that is donating, or bringing wedding gifts for him and Phyllis to make out a donation to Joe's charity. And that's what happened in that episode. I want to thank you guys for checking us out. Don't forget, share and subscribe. It's a lot of fun, and we have a lot more coming. Have a great day.